Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Wind, Reel, and Print. This is your co-host, Kevin.
And this is your co-host, Ryan.
And today we are here to talk about Auteur Theory. Bum, 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 bum.
For those of you that don't know what auteur theory is, are you scared?
I hope you're scared.
Does that scare you to hear
that
a term
your
like
bones?
film theory? in maybe someone else's hands, maybe, but we're in Kevin's hands now.
Oh, gosh. Good
Kevin,
luck,
don't
folks.
hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Good luck, folks.
But yeah, no, Kevin, this has been an episode you've wanted to make for a while.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we talk a lot about film theory adjacent to some of these films, and I think it's an important way to look at movies and stuff. So we're trying to grow our programmings, if you will.
Yeah.
And finding new ways to talk about movies. And then in this case, without even watching a movie or anything. Yeah. So we're really diving into film theory, film academia.
Yeah. And I will just to add, I think something cool about doing an episode like this is that we do have a ton of movies that we've already watched.
Exactly.
And it's another way to reinterpret those things.
Right.
And anyone watching along, you'll be in on it too. And so we'll definitely be pulling a lot, as we do in many episodes.
Right.
But yeah, we definitely have dealt with this theory many a time.
It has come up in previous conversations, so it's definitely something important to the understanding of cinema and what these things are doing. And so, yeah, I think it was just a great introduction into this format of film podcasting. Auteur theory is one of those things that they kind of bring in early in film school, and it's an easy way to talk about film for a lot of people. So
yeah, it feels just like how Wes Anderson is so easy to teach and to understand,
right?
Because it's just so blatant and in your face with style, and everything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point of what auteur theory is. For example, is Wes Anderson, because of how forefronted his personal style comes into all of his movies. And at the base, that's what this is, right? It's recognizable style and tying that to what people consider the author of the movie. And so the French New Wave made this proposition that the director is the central creative figure in the filmmaking process, and that when you look at directors like Alfred Hitchcock or Orson Welles, Howard Hawks, you see this really recognizable style and a continuous thematic through line throughout their body of work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's where this theory stems from, is the French New Wave and their kind of formulation of what filmmaking is. Because a lot of during this time period, mid 20th century, we're 50 years into the history of film as a art form. I think during this time period, people are trying to frame film as a serious art form within the context of literature, paintings, music. They were trying to make this a real thing that should be studied and taken seriously and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this was a way to sort of label and understand what makes this a serious art form. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It just kind of shows me that I've been dealing with auteur theory all along, and I just didn't have a name for it because I also went to film school, and but this wasn't really.
I'm so shocked.
I know, isn't it funny?
It seems like the ABCs of film theory.
Well, when we do an episode on the Cool Shop effect, that's feels like an ABC's.
Yeah, another big
A big obvious thing, but that you don't really have a word for it. Like there's this great book, the film editing techniques. I forget exactly what it's called. Yes. Another thing where it's like, oh yeah, cut means something.
Yeah.
You know, like you forget like these things that are so baked in. So it's like going back to the basics.
Right.
And learning your fundamentals.
Right.
That's what this is. And
Truly.
so, I appreciate that. And so this came, so how was French, maybe you'll get into this, but how is French New Wave exactly wrapped up into this? Did this come out of that or?
So French New Wave is kind of started by this guy, Andre Bazin, butchering his last name, Bazin.
But a Frenchman.
He's French. And he kind of like fosters the career of Francois Truffaut, and like brings together a group of, at the time, film critics into this journal called the Cahiers du Cinéma. And they kind of write about films and filmmaking and start to like build a sort of identity around like their way of thinking within filmmaking. A lot of it is like reacting against Hollywood and then incorporating like this stuff, like auteur theory, XYZ. So like within the film critic stuff, a lot of the critics become directors. Yeah. So like Godard was like writing a lot for the journal before he was a director, and was like working on their films like Truffaut's and I think it was
Bresson?
Romer.
No.
Romer.
Okay.
Bresson is like early French cinema.
Yeah.
Who they took influence from.
Oh, I see.
They wrote about Bresson as like an early auteur, and you can look at his body of work and see there's like a style and like growth and whatever.
Yeah.
And so like they, at the time, they're kind of responsible for pushing this idea that like the director is the main stylistic like epicenter within filmmaking. And like going into the 70s and 80s, you see that in like Hollywood, you know, the like Coppola film, the George Lucas film, the Scorsese film, you know, this becomes, from an industrialist standpoint, like auteur theory becomes like a selling point for a movie, just like an actor name or whatever.
True.
It's a way to concentrate power and control within the filmmaking process, right?
Yeah.
And it's a way to me, it's like a narrative building technique to build like legacy and stuff. Because you look at like filmmaking now, it's like we try to use the auteur label to say this is a serious filmmaker who's like trying to be like making real movies, you know, has a vision, you know, and I think that becomes like a real like collective like understanding of like how to discuss these things that we're looking at.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah.
To kind of bounce off. Who decided, maybe you don't have this, but maybe who decided on auteur theory as the
label?
As the term?
Yeah, auteur is like French for author.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
so the French were basically saying like the painter makes the painting, the novelist writes the novel. Who is the creator of the film? And so this is always like going to be a hotly debated topic because filmmaking is inherently collaborative.
Yeah.
Right? So it's impossible to say who's the true like author of the film.
Yeah.
I kind of have like a list of like who would be the contenders to the director and who a lot of people say this is the true auteur in filmmaking, blah, 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 blah. Like these are different positions that generate meaning and can oftentimes usurp like a director in terms of like who's truly authoring the film.
Yeah.
So in Golden Age Hollywood, the producer was generally like the person in charge of the filmmaking process.
Yeah.
And they would bring in a director for their directing style, specifically with the actors. And so directors had nothing to do with like all these other things. It wasn't until you get like a really dominant personality type like Alfred Hitchcock or Howard Hawks where they want like creative control over like all these things. Screenwriter, I think Pauline Kael or someone dubbed screenwriter as like a big authorship role, citing Citizen Kane and like the Mankiewicz thing as like a good contention point between those two things. And then I would just say like cinematographer has a big role in terms of like creating visual meaning. Actors are like the ones on screen. I think they have some authorship as well. And then you get into the nitty gritty of like music, VFX, determine looks of your film. Editing, I think, is big too. So
there's a lot of different ways. Now, in the beginning, but Auteur Theory declares it's the director and the director only.
Like in the traditional sense of like Auteur Theory, it's like the director is the central figure. But I would almost say like it's like square is a rectangle sort of a thing, where it's like certain directors absolutely call them auteurs. But I think you need a certain resume to like get to that point. I don't think you can say this first time director is an auteur director. It's like, oh, okay, hold on. Let's just see where they go, because I just feel like you need a body of work with all these things, recognizable style, and you have to be, I feel like, writer-director or some sort of variation of writer-director. I think you need to be involved in like the whole process, I don't think Auteur Theory is so flippantly like should be so flippantly thrown around. It's like, you have to kind of earn that title, you know what I mean, if that's like a thing.
So interesting. Let's take the obvious example, Wes Anderson. And are you familiar with all of his body of work? So Bottle Rocket,
right?
Does that feel so? Is it not auteur at that point?
Well, you can like make the argument that he's developing,
okay,
and you can see clearly in Bottle Rocket.
You definitely can.
Like, oh, he's searching for something here. And then definitely in Rushmore, it's like, okay, here he's like fitting into it. And by the time you get to
Royal Tenenbaums,
and Sisu, like Life Aquatic,
that's when it really, it's like the trade-off happens.
That's like you really start to see that. But there's like a development of style.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Cool. So
because it's definitely a faulty theory, I think.
I mean, it definitely is a way of looking at it, in an interesting way, And you could argue whether it's good or bad, but that's irrelevant. No, it is. It's interesting.
I would argue it's a bad thing. Or I think there is an argument to say that it is. Especially when you look at like the concentration of power and control, like that was a huge problem for people in terms of like a lot of these people are men. And what does that say about our industry and blah 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 in terms of like building that legacy out for men's exclusively. You know what I mean? Like Auteur seems like a men's club sort of a deal.
It does, because I mean, once again, it's like we talked about the Catherine Bigelow thing. Like there's so few that you start to really like, it starts to pull them into what we consider male spaces and the male films. And then now we're dealing with all of these layers on layers of things.
Absolutely.
Are there directors today that this is a very off the wall question, and are there any directors today that people say are auteurs but aren't?
That's a great question.
Just trying to find other ways to kind of define it and understand it.
I mean, this is totally personal opinion, and not fact whatsoever. But as an example, in terms of like understanding these things, I feel like when you look at a lot of the A24 directors, that's like an easy way to see like who's serious about like being a stylized director, like with a recognizable like vision and stuff, and who's trying to just fit into the Hollywood system. So like I think Robert Eggers is a great example of like, this guy seems like he's serious about being an auteur and like having a style and going back to like similar places and stories and themes and stuff. Ari Aster seems like a person willing to stay in his lane, you know, not that like you can't take risks, but because he obviously takes some crazy creative risks.
Yeah. And he's willing to go there.
Yeah, totally. But in contrast, you know, I would question Barry Jenkins' label as an auteur, just in terms of like where he's seeming to go. If he comes back, you know, I'll give him his grace.
Your Barry Jenkins beef is
tough.
Strong. Yeah.
It's tough because he makes really good, strong, emotional indie films that are like really, really awesome. But then you go to Mufasa, that was just like a big head scratcher to me.
Yeah.
And just like goes against what I think of like a Barry Jenkins movie.
Yeah.
And it feels like a betrayal, you know.
Taika Waititi
is another just like obvious great example of like, okay, did the auteur thing, but now what's up?
What's happening now?
Like, are you doing it? Are you not?
Yeah.
Like, I think when you look at the Mexican filmmakers, Cuarón, Guillermo, and Iñárritu, those are like amazing examples of like going into the Hollywood system, learning the tools, going back to indie and like doing it your own way.
Yeah.
And like doing the, like you said, the one for you, one for me sort of mentality, and like staying true to that. You know what I mean? Like not going too far into the Hollywood system, not going too bizarre and going too indie, you know, like being able to code switch and like be in both places, you know? I feel like that's a great, like Yorgos Lanthimos, I think, is another dude who's like able to fit into Hollywood, but also stay in his lane.
Yeah, we've yet to see what a Lanthimos Hollywood movie, like Poor Things is the closest.
I mean, favorite, I think.
Oh, favorite, sure. Yeah. That I think, that does sit. It is less weird than Poor Things.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so we do, and I feel the same way about all of these things. Yeah, there's like you can have that back and forth, but if you're back, then
you need to.
Yeah, you got to be able to come back though. Yeah,
like Scorsese, I think, is like an OG in that realm.
Yeah, he's insane.
And I think he's an interesting contention to my theory of auteurism because he doesn't write a lot.
Yeah.
He generally makes like direct scripts from other people.
Yeah.
So he's like you could question, is he an auteur? You know, obviously he is, but like within the realm of like, how much control does he have over story? Like how much weight does he have over like a PTA or Quentin Tarantino in terms of like, you know, being an auteur?
Yeah.
Like a true auteur.
Now, obviously, could we argue Scorsese is just by looking at his filmography and being like, okay, we can say what we think Scorsese movies are.
Right.
Even though they're probably different writers on many of them.
Right.
I think that he's had like the same editor for a very long time.
Right. He's still keeping certain people around.
Yeah, of course. So there is like, and maybe even a tour. You mentioned earlier, obviously, filmmaking is a collective,
right?
But there is a director's position, and it sounds like has gained more power over time.
Yeah.
To a point where it's just like, okay, this makes sense now,
right? Yeah,
and maybe another version of it is auteurism is also this kind of collective organism.
Yeah,
you know, and I think the director is It is I don't know the right way to put it, not hot point, but like almost like a magnet.
Right. The epicenter.
Yeah, and everything kind of is drawn, and that's like, once again, it's very easy for people, just like it's easy to look at an actor,
right?
And that's sometimes people's first criticism of a movie,
right?
Is that, or realism, or the director. Like there are some obvious things that are pretty basic,
right?
And I guess that's kind of the way to start,
right? To talk about the movie, and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure.
Are there any actors that are auteurs?
Like Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I understand it from that way, but does it ever go in the way of like they just act? Can you be an auteur and just act?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you look at the really heavy hitters,
Yeah.
there's a level of auteurship that like we don't even acknowledge sometimes.
Yeah. Because it's
like,
just like it's their acting style or something.
Because I think we've talked about it before, like with Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah.
Like how much he just dominates the screen.
Everything.
John Cassavetes, obviously he is a director, but when you look at him when he's just acting, it's like he's kind of writing a portion of this himself, it feels like.
Yeah.
Just like in real time.
I have to imagine Cassavetes, that's part of it for him. Like
it's like finding it in the moment and stuff.
Yeah.
And that like, and so like, I feel like there's definitely I'm trying to think, like Leo, I'm sure is like somewhat like this.
Yeah, there certainly is like a mark of quality with like, or quality is subjective, but this kind of like mark of like, okay, this is what you're going to get. It's a highly selective, maybe auteur with auteur sort of work,
right?
A multicellular auteur organism,
right?
That we might be dealing with when it comes to like actors joining up with some of these big time directors,
right? Like Katharine Hepburn, I feel like
that makes a lot of sense.
Iconic thing, like the acting style is so brilliant,
Yeah.
Giulietta Messina, who worked with Fellini.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Chaplin too, like even though he didn't direct his own stuff, but like his acting style is like so particular. Yeah. It's like he is the auteur.
Yeah, you can say the same thing, Buster Keaton, a lot of those early actor directors.
Jackie Chan.
Yep, Jackie Chan, yes. Yeah.
To make a modern thing. Yeah, like just the way they're going about their acting and stuff is like super specific and stuff like that. Like even The Rock, like you could go as far as saying he's an auteur.
Yeah, it's interesting, but and it's funny how it for the actors at least,
right?
It kind of the beast kind of feeds itself.
Yeah,
because
it seems so obvious.
Yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, of course we're going to cast them in the same thing they did.
Yeah,
like that's the easiest thing for a studio that is afraid to take any risk, a risk-averse studio is what I was trying to come up with. Like, of course they're going to do so, but does auteur mean the same always?
Yeah, I mean that's where it's like the highly debated topic of like what is auteurism and blah blah blah. Where does the definition lie?
Yeah,
and like what are the parameters?
And so there's a lot of different definitions.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of like looking at directors, I think there's a hard line like. They need to be writer-directors or some sort of version of that. They need to have a body of work, like 7+ films.
Yeah.
What I call the Andrei Tarkovsky rule.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is unbelievable that Tarkovsky only made
7 movies.
That many. And it's just like every single one. And I haven't even seen all of them, and I just trust it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch them all. Just like bangers. Like it's insane.
Yeah. I mean, Kubrick too, like only made like 10 movies.
I know, like every single one.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like recognizable style, right? Like I think those 3 things are what makes you an auteur in the director sense. But I think when you think of films and like textures and style, like I think anyone with a recognizable style is an auteur. Like Roger Deakins is a auteur. Hans Zimmer is like a level of an auteur, like they're just so influential to the fabric and the making of the film. You can't avoid their like presence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you look at any of the multitude of creators within the filmmaking experience, I think any dominant like style will have an impact on the thing. And so you're asking great questions. I have like a paragraph from this article about Robert Altman and how he relates to the auteur theory.
Yes.
So I'm kind of gonna like skim through this.
Yeah, please.
The concept of the author needs thus to be conceived as the range of determinants that aids us in hearing the voices which constitute a group of texts. The apparatus of film, with its mix of many crafts, its plurality of producers, its range of spectators, quite literally models the idea of the multi-authored text. And within this apparatus, the name Robert Altman as Foucault suggests about the name of the author, characterizes a particular manner of existence of discourse. It points to the existence of certain groups of discourse and refers to the status of this discourse within society and culture. Robert Altman is a name that represents a certain cinematic heterogeneity and plurality, and it designates a set of stabilities among the sliding signifiers of Hollywood film practice. Unlike classical narrative, which aims at homogeneity, the signature Robert Altman constantly restates the heterogeneous, the contradictory, the plurality which threaten, delimit, define it as that apparent unity sought by the auteur theory. Rather than singular author of the 22 films that he's made, Robert Altman is a subject position. That, in the words of Stephen Heath, allows at once the articulation of contradictions in the film text, the recognition of heterogeneity, of structures, codes, languages at work in the film. The name of the author, this is like big bold words. Yeah. The name of the author is metonymic with the variety of productive forces that intersect, cohere, assemble, and disperse across filmmaking. And each of these perspectives, technological, industrial, societal, formal, psychological, academic, authorizes a notional coherence that provides the means for us to grasp a text in the moment of its production before us.
Okay.
Pretty wordy, but it's basically everything we've been talking about. Yeah. The plurality, you know.
Yeah. So are they saying in that Robert Altman is that like he isn't just Altman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He is all the things, because that was his style. Was like he gave the actors a lot of freedom to do what they wanted, and all the sound didn't like it wasn't all of these things. It was a lot less.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like he's embodying the true spirit of auteur theory, which is like embracing the plurality, embracing the like what they call the heterogeneity of filmmaking process, right? Like allowing all these different creatives to just do their thing and flow into what the movie becomes, and him being what you said, like that magnetic central point, driving everything into itself. You know?
I wonder if David Lynch is that.
Totally.
Yeah, like this, because he was always he was always known for like wanting to find it on set and things like that, and to kind of figure out what it is.
The ideas, catching ideas, the fishing.
Yes,
metaphor,
exactly. The classic one. And so that's very interesting. Yeah. And it feels like the way that if I was in that position, feels like the right way. Yeah. Because
absolutely.
it feels like it would take a little bit of pressure off you to be like, let's work together on, you know, like,
let's embrace the nature of this collaborative thing, and like you put a little bit into it. Like I know what I want it to be, but like how you get there, that's like totally up to you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think at any position within the filmmaking process, like you can have that relationship with that person, you know.
I feel like in film school, we are not taught that.
No. I don't even think this is like, I mean, I guess there's an article about it, but it's like, this is not like ready-made theory for people, I feel like.
Yeah. I love the what is it called? The multi, or the like this sort of
multi-authored text.
Yeah. I just think that's such a great way to do that, and I think we'd be better served in a lot of ways for having. I mean,
in society,
I guess what does
general.
That mean? I mean, definitely society in general.
Right.
You gotta. I guess it depends what your values are, especially when it comes to what movies you want to watch.
Right.
You know, what world do we live in where you have multi-authored films?
Right.
What does that look
every
like?
film is multi-authored.
I mean, it actually is. Yeah. Yes, you are correct.
Like the argument is that like you have all these different people.
No one
involved.
can deny that, right? Do people deny that?
I mean, I don't think anyone's really. I think a lot of this is just like up in the air.
Yeah.
Sort of like stuff.
Are people writing papers like ignoring that or whatever? Like that would be kind of wild. Like to think that movies aren't multi-authored already. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's like an implicit nature of thinking that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when we watch movies, we give a lot of weight to the director.
Oh, absolutely.
Or the actor in terms of like what's happening on screen. And we say, oh, look at how well they made this room look. Even though the production designer made that room.
Yeah. Or they talk about like the acting in a movie is sometimes the actor or the director. Right. Like, it depends.
The choice is like always up in the air.
Yep.
And I think it is like, theoretically, you cannot ignore the collaborative spirit of filmmaking.
Yes.
But I think when you look at traditional film theory and film criticism, people don't really write about it in that sense, or use the language that represents like that plurality or whatever.
Yeah.
We're so locked into like these, like you said, the ABCs of like filmmaking, these kind of like ready-made things that we think of when we watch movies, like the director, actor, realism, XYZ, historical accuracy,
accuracy. Yes, absolutely.
Like, these are all just like easy things to jump to when we're like thinking about film.
I guess this kind of dives into a much larger topic that will like is just film criticism in general. Is an interesting thing that I've always, I don't know why, and it's funny to be doing a podcast and to feel like I really don't like film criticism in a lot of ways. Because it feels like, and maybe it's even how auteur theory feels like. It feels like a given in some ways.
What do you mean?
Like, yeah, of course it's true. And maybe this is me just being like such like I'm just not so academic when it comes to some stuff. That it's just
especially film,
yeah. When it's just like, okay, in some ways, like I sure, like that is a way, like so. And I sometimes feel that way about film criticism, that it is so subjective.
Yeah,
that it's like,
but that's the point.
Yeah,
is the subjectivity, I think, or at least that's what I get out of like art criticism in general, or just like critical theory at large, is that, you know, we're just like thinking, you know, we're just throwing stuff out, like you're translating all these things through your own like way of thinking and like your understanding of the world. And that's why to me it's like important to learn all these different, like German expressionism, mumblecore, like it's important to learn all these different things so that we have labels for what we're talking about, so that when we watch Nosferatu we can say, oh yeah, this is that thing and this thing, blah 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 blah, and relate it to like this web of like whatever data that we've like kind of amassed.
I'm realizing this happens in therapy sessions sometime too, where it's like, why am I having such a aversion to this? Like there is something inside of me that has some aversion, and I don't fully understand, but like genre and what you're saying about German expressionism, French New Wave, like I absolutely see like the importance of that. Right. So why am I not seeing like what am I? What's my disconnect here?
Yeah, I think when we look at a lot of these things, like auteur adjacent things, these are like more like tools.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Like, I'm not used to
very heady theoretical shit.
Yeah.
And then like genre is so easy to see.
Totally.
It's like right on screen. You know what I mean?
It is.
It's like so visually motivated.
Yeah.
Whereas like auteur theory, and especially when we get into Kuleshov effect, it's like these things aren't really real.
Yeah.
We're just kind of like applying meaning to like understand why we feel this way and like have this relationship with like certain films and stuff. I think auteur theory was big for like figuring out why does Alfred Hitchcock movies just feel so different?
Yeah.
You know? Like this shit is just not a movie, it's like something else.
Yeah, maybe it's just movies have been around long enough that it just feels second nature. Like of course in Alfred Hitchcock, we understand that. It is, it is like it's baked in.
Right. Because that's how we've been programmed to understand movies now.
Yeah.
And they don't even give us that label. We just like, that's the language, you know?
Yeah.
But this is just like like very formative to why we think like that. If that makes sense.
That actually helped me. You just walked a horse to water. Actually helped me a lot. Like it feels like there was a time when this was not well understood.
Sure.
And it was like, we do really take for granted just like how strange it must have been to even think about doing things in movies.
Right.
100 years ago or whatever.
Even 50 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. There were some things that you still couldn't really wrap your head around.
Right.
And the fact that this is kind of part of it, and has been, and now I think a lot of us just call auteur theory like directed by.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nowadays.
That is like rooted in auteur theory. Is like putting a Martin Scorsese film.
Yeah.
Like that is auteur theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
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 Whoa.
So I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah. I needed to I needed to get there, and I needed to face it a little bit. I was like, we're gonna make it through without me being like,
saying anything.
But I just needed to think about it a little differently. So thank you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I went to a school that was like heavy in film theory. So this is like our kind of introduction to cinema, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like thinking about it in this way.
Yeah. I did not. I don't even know what I'd call mine. I mean, it certainly was like production based.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Seems like you guys made a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah,
and
which is awesome.
Because it was a smaller school, it just had a lot more opportunities in that place, and it was like in a mountain town, so it was
nothing much to do.
Yeah, it's just like there was a lot of places to film and stuff, and usually people were pretty friendly for the most part, but not everyone.
Right. Makes sense.
But did you guys hear that?
Lollipop.
Kevin just popped the lolly.
Yeah. I feel like we're at that time.
Yeah, it's lolly time. What I was gonna say was I graduated in screenwriting.
Oh yeah.
But never really. You're gonna have to stop sucking on the lollipop. That's rough. That's rough. But yeah, no, it's interesting how that theory is kind of
never.
Yeah, there's just never really talked.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. There were film theory classes, I think, but I just don't think I took them.
Yeah. We had like an auteur. This guy, fucking forgot his name, but he did like an auteur theory class. Where, like every week we watched a movie from a different director and like talked about it, wrote an essay about it or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really cool. And it was all like movies from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s.
Oh, that's cool.
Stuff. So it was like deep cut type shit.
Cool.
Yeah. It's cool. It's interesting.
Nice.
French New Wave will come up again.
Oh, yeah.
That will be an episode at some point.
Wow, yeah, it's crazy we haven't done that.
Yeah, I know, with all our mumblecore and stuff. Yeah.
It is, I think it's ingrained in both of us.
Yes.
As like a really formative.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think for a lot, I mean it just was so
Godard.
Big. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're getting little bits here, but I know for me, French New Wave was so important to my understanding of movies.
Sure.
And I think in cinema in general, it was such a spark.
Yeah. It was a breaking point in history for sure.
Yeah.
In terms of changing the landscape and language of cinema.
Yeah. Was there anything else? What else?
That was it for me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think, or at least I feel like that's a good introduction.
Yeah.
To the complex nature of auteur theory and how it's so undefinable a lot of the times, and we just kind of make it up as we go.
Yeah. No, I love it, and now we have another tool in our belt for talking about more movies.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
Yeah, because we kind of are already in that realm of like looking at directors, looking at like different genres and like ways to categorize movies. So.
Yeah, and film movements and yeah.
So this is just another thing that we can file away.
Sweet. I'm putting it on the belt right now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for entertaining me. That was great.
All right. Right on, folks.
All right, it's a wrap. Wind Reel in Print is a podcast by Salad Brain Productions. You can find us on Instagram at Wind Reel in Print Pod. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. And please, if you like the show, leave a rating and review. We'll see you next time.